folks, if you're a big Bungie fan like myself, then yesterday was a big day. At the Sony press conference, first gameplay on display for Destiny, Bungie's new project. And joining me on stage now is Joseph Staten, writer and design director on the game. Joseph, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
Happy to be debuting gameplay of your game finally?
Absolutely. It's great to take the wrapper off and shove it out there to a couple million people. It's awesome.
I mean, you know,
it's not stressful.
Talking in vague design terms about the game is fascinating on many levels, but there's just something about putting the game out there for people to see, seeing it in action, getting to play it, and pretty great showing last night.
Yeah, thanks. It's awesome. I mean, it's a straight-up Bungie shooter. It's going to be a fun first-person shooter, but there are certain elements about it that are great to just explain in more detail and show people.
Indeed, and we're actually going to run that demo from last night,
awesome. Yeah.
Or more or less what that was like, this sort of same piece, and we'll just sort of talk through it and see, you know, talk about what we see. First off, it looks freaking gorgeous.
It's amazing. I mean, whatever, I shouldn't say it looks amazing. I sound like a jerk.
It's amazing, I know.
But I mean, I'm not an artist, and it looks, I mean, we have incredible guys and gals that work there, and it's amazing. This is all coming right out of our engine. All that stuff, if you ran out there, it's all playable terrain. I mean, it's just a really powerful new engine that we've got.
If you want to pick your way through the decayed freeway that's been sitting there for however many hundreds of years, and run across some. Now these guys are the Fallen.
So these are the Fallen, one of the combatant races in the game, and this is actually from an early cinematic in the game. So this just helps set up the world. One of the first things you do in Destiny is, at least in the story campaign, is you go to Old Russia.
Old Russia, not so much thriving at this point, and also like, I guess, are these snows and dust, and like this is remnants of. What I really like about Destiny and the Earth area in Destiny is how it has all of this. You guys have like front-loaded it with all this history.
Absolutely.
It's just begs you, like, what did this wall separate them from? What are these spaceships that you discover behind the wall? Like, what is the story behind all that situation?
Absolutely. I mean, we love world building, and I think the best world building just asks questions. You know, puts questions in your mind. You know, why did they build this wall? What were they trying to keep out? What were they trying to keep in? You know, what were those old ships in the background? What were they for? I mean, all that stuff, this whole idea of an abandoned Earth and an abandoned human civilization isn't just on Earth, it's on all the planets of our solar system. So as you explore Mars and other places, you'll see similar themes.
You guys have, you know, the deal that this came out of, the publishing deal with Activision for 10 years, you know, that you guys have certainly laid a foundation, it seems, with your world building here that just gives you so much space and so much history to work with. And, you know, it must be kind of daunting to try to lay down something that you're like, this has got to be one of the most immensely fertile sci-fi worlds that has been created. Let's spring that out of our minds.
Well, now you're getting me stressed out. I want to go back to work and get some more stuff done.
Man, this is E3. This is where we just talk about video games. So this is where a friend has jumped in.
Yes, exactly. So in this world, we're members of a fire team together. So we would have joined up prior to coming to the Old Russia, and we would have come together here in this private area.
Now, is a fire team a session-by-session thing, or is it like a clan that sort of persists across your gameplay sessions?
So a fire team is just a grouping of players that gets together to do a specific activity.
Okay.
So in this case, we're doing a story mission. But if we wanted to, we could take the exact same fire team into competitive multiplayer and other activities in the game, too.
And then, boom, your buddies come in. Now, this was a question. This is called Ghost?
The Ghost, yep.
Is it voiced by Peter Dinklage?
Why would you say it's voiced by Peter Dinklage? Does that sound like Peter Dinklage?
I mean, you can't hear it right now because I'm jibber jabbering.
I can neither confirm or deny that is Peter Dinklage.
All right, sounded like him to me, but
he's got a great voice, though, right? Whoever that is,
he's got a real rich sense of humor too.
Yep,
it's a caustic wit.
Yep,
and so you know that's the Ghost is certainly clearly an environmental aid here. Does that factor into combat as well?
Well, so right now what we're just showing is his helpful companion, help you get through the world mode. But the Ghost is actually an important story character in the game as well. So he's not just in the sandbox.
Does everybody get a ghost that just trickles down out of the traveler globe and accompanies them since infancy throughout the whole world?
Well, the ghost is one of those things that, since you asked, actually gets issued to every guardian of the city. So if you're a guardian of the city, you get your own ghost, and like a lot of things in Destiny, there may be the ability to customize them later on.
Maybe,
but yes, he's your little buddy. Your really loyal, helpful companion. You would not be able to get through the world of Destiny, the Wild Frontier, without your ghost helping you every once in a while.
Yeah, you need a little help, not just, certainly from friends who can wield guns, but also apparently from sophisticated AI floating friends, or if it is even AI. Well, in the game design sense, it is. But what is it within the world?
Little helpful friend, your companion.
Your little friend. All right, so this. We got a glimpse a little bit later on about loot and sort of gun lust that you guys are sort of sparking a little bit with it. Talk about the guns we've got now. This one sort of seems like an SMG.
Yeah, so I think
had
this
a pistol out a second ago.
Yeah, so I think this weapon I've got here is a pulse rifle, which means it fires 3-shot bursts. And my buddy over there's got looks like he's got an energy rifle. And yes, I have a hand cannon, a revolver.
Not literally the thing you just shot from your hand that looks cannon-like.
Yes, space magic. Yeah, it's space magic. I mean, it's awesome. I mean, all the magic in this game feels really kinetic and visceral, and it's like flinging a piece of the sun out of your fist. I mean, it's a really satisfying combat magic. It's great.
Now, the player character here, there are 3 playable human classes, correct?
Yep.
That's the... Why don't you just say them?
So actually, you can choose to be a human or 2 of the other races, Exo or Awoken. The classes, there are 3.
Are separate from the race.
Separate from race. So race is a purely emotional, cosmetic choice. Has no impact on gameplay, but your class does in small ways. So you can be a hunter or a titan or a warlock. Now, all those classes have access to the abilities, your space magic. And the tweaking and tuning you're doing between the classes is just really making the playstyle unique to you.
Is it certain special, like does more damage with pistols, or can wield certain weapons better, or is it does certain branches of space magic, different abilities?
You can see right here on this inventory screen. Actually, we didn't highlight it, but every class has certain abilities, but there's a lot of overlap. I mean, the big thing for us is we don't want anybody to regret their class choice. A couple hours in or a couple missions in, we don't want you to think, oh man, I should have become a hunter. The classes are similar in a lot of ways. It's really just about tweaking and tuning to make it feel good for you.
Will you be able to have multiple characters?
They definitely have specialties, yeah.
Will you personally be able to have multiple characters within the world of Destiny?
Absolutely. And these characters will grow over time, and hopefully some of the characters you'll stick with for years even, yeah.
Well, with the sweet monocular visualization thing like that character
I love that. Yeah, the Hunter's actually my favorite class. I wasn't playing it in this demo, but the cape looks awesome, the monocle looks cool, and both of those things are choices that player made out in the world. They found that gear somewhere and have decided to wear it. It's just not cosmetic. It actually has some gameplay properties as well.
Question coming in from the Twitch chat, DMills819, wondering, is this, an MMO or what? Because this is certainly a multiplayer game.
Sure.
But to what extent does that multiplayer scope? I mean, this encounter we're going to see it scale up in terms of the amount of human players that are involved. But what's sort of the upper limit on how many people can be involved in one conflict in one place?
So first thing to know is this is a Bungie shooter. I mean, you could tell just by looking at the screen. It's guys with great guns, great sandbox action. If you love playing the games we've made in the past, our shooters, you're gonna love this game. This public space, we're still playing with numbers to see what a pleasing, upper limit of characters is.
Okay.
But right now, and what we demoed, we have 7 people in there. 3 different fire teams. So we've got this fire team, the primary 3. And in the public event, you're joined by a couple guys coming on a different fire team on Sparrows, and then a third fire team that comes in later in the fight.
And the public event, you're just putting the emphasis on event here as this ship comes in from slipspace or wherever and brings with it its little cadre. Like, that's not even the ship you end up fighting against. It's one of these smaller ships that drops a mini boss.
Wouldn't that be awesome if you could fight on that ship someday though? That'd be amazing.
And then these dudes roll in and just make you instantly jealous because they're on friggin' land speeders, hover bike thingies. So
don't feel too jealous. I mean, you have your own as well. If I wanted to, I could be driving around on my own little vehicle here. Every Guardian has one. So it's a really quick and easy way to get around the world.
Sure.
Yep.
And that is just something you can conjure out of the ether.
Exactly. Yep. You've got your personal ship. You saw people flying over in personal ships. The personal ships sort of, at least in some way, act as your storage in the game. So that's where you store your vehicle and all kinds of stuff.
Half Demon in the Twitch chat, curious about the feel of the game, like compared to, let's say, the last Bungie Halo game was Reach.
Yep.
And so compared to sort of the feel, like what did you guys, when you undertook Destiny, what kind of feel did you want from the shooter? Did you think we need to make this feel different than Halo, or did you just think, what was your goal in terms of that?
Our goal is to make sure that anybody who can pick up a controller can have fun. So if you can pick up a controller and have baseline skill, you can be combat effective, you can come in here, you can light it up. If you're one of those level 20s and has great twitch and is a really, really good shooter, there's a lot of headroom for showing your skill. And you can see here people are popping off crazy space magic and doing crazy moves. I mean, really, we want it to be accessible, but we want it to feel great. I mean, if you could put your hands on the controller and you played Bungie games, it would feel instantly familiar and fun. That's the goal.
It's an interesting mention that to talk about that accessibility, that skill range, and how you guys, because I think that the conception within the shooter genre is that people have a certain amount of proficiency with, dual aiming and, competitive multiplayer, et cetera, but, you got to always keep in mind that bottom, that entry point.
Yeah.
That this is my first shooter, or this looks interesting, I might actually try a shooter.
Yeah, and also it's just making sure when you come into the world of Destiny, because it's a world, it's a big living world, that you can choose what you want to do. Do you want to be super competitive with other players? Do you want to be more cooperative? Do you want to play by yourself? Do you want to play with your friends? We offer a huge amount of choice, and the cool thing is it all is in this context of the same world, and you can run into players doing their own thing, and it's really fun. You definitely have an activity for any mood that you're in, which is really nice. Especially as you get older, like me, you just want to sometimes relax and shoot aliens in the face, and that's relaxing. And so we're really making sure that there's that for you.
Yeah, where your time for gameplay, you're in a certain mood, you want to play a certain game, but it's nice to encompass a wide range of moods in your game. To be
absolutely.
Like, hey, you just want to go exploring, maybe shoot up some Fallen? Cool.
Yeah.
You want to tear it up in competitive multiplayer? We got that too.
Absolutely.
Very exciting. The questions are rolling in. Of course, people very curious about the multiplayer scope and sort of the ways it manifests. That was a public event we saw, and another player squad came along. But is there, if I'm out just roaming by myself, will I see here coming over the ridge is gamertag dude, and can I voice chat with them or ping them with a hey, do you want to team up kind of thing?
Sure. So out in the world, there are two kinds of spaces that you can run through. You can run through a private space that's just you and people in your fire team, and then you'll hit these public spaces where you can run into anybody, other fire teams, guys that are doing story activities, guys that are doing more sort of our high-frequency cooperative stuff, like this public event, for example. So in the world, you're definitely notified about where you might run into people and where you're not. And you can really make choices depending on the kind of experience that you want to have.
Depending on where you want to go at that point in time.
Yeah, absolutely. And we know that some people just don't want to spend time with strangers. I mean, sometimes that's just weird or you don't want to do it. And you can avoid those situations if you want to. But we want to tempt you with awesome opportunities like big giant spaceships and spider tanks and the loot that's going to pop out of them. I mean, if that's what you want, those things are going to, like flies to meat, they're going to draw other players in. It's going to be delicious. But
the nefarious power of loot.
Yes,
we were just talking about that in our previous demo, and it is one thing that certainly holds true. I'm going to check over here on Twitter for a question. Player curious about different vehicles. I mean, we saw, certainly you were talking about you have your private vehicle you can just pop out to help traverse the world. Then there was a private spaceship, which presumably that's, go from the hub to whatever area you're trying to get to. That's more of a transit type thing?
Yeah, the spaceship is primarily to get you from the city where the Guardians live out into the wild, into the frontier, take you to Mars and Venus. I mean, we're a Bungie game. We love vehicles. We love great physics simulation. We're not talking about all the vehicles right now, except for the little sparrow, we call it, that you fly out in the world.
The Sparrow?
The Sparrow. Well, I don't know if that name's going to stick, so don't quote me on it.
Okay, all right. I was curious if you're going with an animal theme again, Warthog, Ghost, because Ghost is an animal.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, kind of. But I mean, this is a great Bungie sandbox game, so stay tuned.
And this game, yesterday was a lot of talk about new consoles, about PlayStation 4, about Xbox One, but a lot of folks out there are saying, well, what about my PC? I mean, my PC still can play games that look super awesome right now. Destiny on PC?
Well, I can't talk about it. I mean, obviously, we'd love to be on as many platforms as possible. I mean, we want to get the game into as many hands as we can, but we're not talking about PC right now. I know it's painful every time someone asks me that question. I can see it in your eyes.
You just got to keep telling them. But is that a cool sensation? That motivation of, in this phase of Bungie's, for a decade of Bungie's existence, you know what platform that game's going to end up on. That's a Microsoft game. But now this whole get it out on every platform, is that invigorating to you?
I don't know if invigorating. No, it's
terrifying.
I mean, it is kind of. I mean, this is as you know, a tricky year. It's a console transition. We got a ton of people with 360s and PlayStation 3s. I mean, we're excited about. Getting it to everybody. It's tough. I mean, we used to make it for one thing, and now we're stepping up.
And now
we got a big, talented team and
a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, no, that part of it is going great.
And you guys are also straddling generations. It's coming out for the Xbox 360, the PlayStation 3, and then Xbox One and PlayStation 4.
Exactly. Yep.
Excellent. Just a few more questions here before we wrap up. Actually, you're a writer on the game. Let's talk a little bit about the story.
Yep.
It seems in Destiny this is not a monolithic campaign with a discrete beginning and end in the way that, say, a Halo game in the past had been. So what in terms of tracking a story, is that more about just building your story within the world by taking scattered missions across the solar system, or is it about investigating some greater galactic truth, history, fighting the enemies, etc., etc.?
I don't know. Which one would you like?
No.
How about a little of both? I mean, it is a little bit of both. We love cinematic storytelling at Bungie. We've done it for years, and we love, great narrative, great linear story. But that's going to drive a certain part of Destiny. But there's a whole bunch of Destiny that's a story is told different ways, in little smaller bite-sized chunks. So honestly, there's a little bit of everything. But if you love a great cinematic story, Destiny has that for you. Absolutely.
Destiny's going to give it to you.
Yep.
Joseph, I feel confident that I could literally keep you here for hours and continue to talk with you about Destiny.
Let's hang out. Where you got to go?
I've made some appointments with other people to have them show off their games here on stage. We got to wrap it up here. We said what platforms it's on, and you guys are targeting 2014 for the release.
2014. It's coming soon.
Can't come soon enough.
Yeah,
Joseph, thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Congratulations on the gameplay reveal.
Yep.
Look forward to seeing more of Destiny in the coming months, and really, hopefully, very soon. All right, folks, we're heading over to the Microsoft booth with Homer Rabara, and we'll be back just in a few minutes.